we're all back once again. We're back from a little short vacation there, and actually, the video is working quite well right now. Let me just adjust this really quickly. There we go. Very nice indeed. I have my Starbucks Americano right here, and actually, surprisingly, Starbucks Americano pretty fucking good. Like, it's actually really decent. Was not expecting that, man. Been abusing that over the past couple weeks, but for good reason indeed. Anyways, I'm looking at triple Qs right now, but we got some Bitcoin price action analysis to get into. Of course, I did indeed miss the actual rally as we were actually in Southern California visiting Disneyland with my sister's family and Elsa, and actually having a good time. But I don't know, Bitcoin playing out the move that we've been looking for. Elsa's having her birthday dream. Last year she had. Oh, birthday trip. Yes. And last year's birthday trip was Disney World. Crazy fucking idea. Disneyland, Disney World, all sorts of crazy places. Holy shit, man. If you've never seen wheelchair people and not the kind who actually were born with it, that is the place to go. Lots of exhibitions there. Very fucking crazy, man. Anyways, yeah, as far as markets go, it does look like traditional markets continue to do what they've been doing, and Bitcoin has actually been following to a minor extent, but, still crawling its way towards our targets. Did kind of the underside of our targets at 98,000 bucks. That's kind of like a minimum for this rally. Now backing off, back down below 95,000 bucks, but don't really think that anything's over right now. I think that we're still kind of in a holding pattern. And while Bitcoin did get the short-term breakout, this is a very sort of boring time and nothing super important has happened just yet. Again, for me, the important areas to be aware of are 107.5 to the upside. That is where Bitcoin flips around, at least my personal bias right now, which is that this bounce is just a bounce. And of course, below 80,000 bucks, I mean, that's just continuation to new lows, obviously. But I do see that we have many things going on in traditional markets, so big focus on that today, of course, as SPY does come down a little bit below 7,000 bucks. Not bad right there. Still overall good, still overall bullish. And as this week does come to does come to an end, still holding above that red 5 EMA tells me continue to hold this one long as this trend is still in motion. And while this move is getting like kind of exaggerated right here, still think that has a little bit more to go in the greater scheme of things, I do suppose. Anyways, what's up, Mr. Ben's chair? I see you over there, man. And also the pinned message of the day as well. You're investing in oil companies with the Lambo. Wait, what are you talking about, Jeff B? I don't understand what you're talking about, sir. Zonkert says, how D-Land versus Steve World. They're both very similar, but Disneyland actually a little bit smaller in comparison to Magic Kingdom at Disney World, and less lines. I found that there was a lot less lines. It's actually quite nice. In fact, didn't have to wait as long as Disney World. The one in Florida, that one you have to wait for fucking ever for everything. It's crazy. Even with the lightning lane bullshit, it's like you're still waiting because you just book a time and then you come back later and I guess you just get to wait not in line but somewhere else. It's waiting no matter how you twist it. But Disneyland, a lot less lines there actually. Just have to go to Southern California, which can be good or cannot be good depending upon your disposition. What's up, First Minute? He says that sigh before the start was epic. Yes, indeed. Just taking one in because last night was a bit of a curtailed sleep pattern. I won't explain why, but it was bad. It was real fucking bad. And Rosie Poo, once again, Rosie Poo, our lovely little Kava-Poo puppy, not just eating her own shits as of recent, but now last night I caught her eating literal bird shits, dried up bird shits, the white pieces with the black inside of them. She had a big old bird dookie sticking out of her mouth, and she was chewing on this shit for 5 minutes because I couldn't catch her. She's like too fast now. It's actually insane. In just 1 week, she's gone from clumsy and I can catch her as easy as I can. Now, not so much. If she wants to stay away, she will stay away indeed. Starbucks Americanos are my go-to, says Zarbin. Yeah, man, they're actually pretty good. I was surprised. I haven't had Starbucks in many moons, but this one, not bad at all, in fact. Speaking of the moons, I'm curious, what sort of moons have we been looking at as of recently? Because I haven't been following them for quite some time. Curious if we have a sort of bearish moon lining up with what's going on right now. Might be able to help out with some biases there, but no, still in the bull moon pattern right now. And that began when? That began on Saturday, the 3rd of January. We are now on the 16th, so that is 13 days into it. And these moon phases do change every 14/15 days. So yeah, by Saturday, Sunday, this one will have a bearish moon. The bearish moon, I guess it is the new moon is how that typically works out. I don't know if this rally is going to fail. Is it going to come off the back of one of those? Perhaps yes. I mean, the last few ones have been pretty consistently producing at least some downside price action. So I think it deserves at least a little bit of recognition here. But yeah, still a couple days away. So I don't know. Maybe when we get to like Sunday / beginning of next week, perhaps that could be a tumultuous time for Bitcoin, but I'll be laying out some very, very specific prices for today to be mindful of that if Bitcoin loses them, that is where I look at this rally as basically failed and very likely to go back down to the lows that we saw from 2025, or sorry, maybe not the lows of 2025, but the lows that we saw in the fourth quarter of 2025 at very low 80s. But as of right now, Bitcoin's still above the major pivots that we've been looking at, and of course, Bitcoin most importantly above the last higher low that we did see from last week, and that was effectively right around here. The price action pivot is showing a low of 89,200. I still look at that as very much relevant as of the short term, but we are going to move up the pivot throughout this stream to a higher level to define a failure in this case, like a rejection. But until then, I still do look at this rally as likely to eke up, maybe one more leg to the upside. Again, 97,500 is my line in the sand. If Bitcoin can reclaim that, then I turn full on fucking bullish, new all-time highs, all that good stuff. But until then, I think that this rally probably peters out somewhat before that level. At 98, as we've already seen, does it go up to 103, 104, 105? I do still personally think it does go up a little bit higher, but yeah, time shall tell, and I suppose that we probably don't have to wait too long to figure this one out. Maybe this is like a next week type thing. Anyways, what's up, Mr. Great White Hype? Anyone seen the National Geographic videos of drug addicts? Actually, no, but did they go to Philadelphia? Because that place is fucked, man. Did they go to LA? That place is also fucked. Surprised they didn't see that much of that stuff in LA, but then again, we were in the Disney bubble, and I think they kind of just get rid of all of that right there, and then as soon as you go outside, that's where it is, man. It's still very much present as you would imagine. California doesn't really change, I suppose, especially in the past like 10, 15 years. It seems like the population must have exploded there because it's crowded as fuck. Like there's a lot of people, man. There's a lot of people there. The dog equivalent of being shit-faced. Yeah, she was indeed shit-faced with fucking bird poops, human poops, her own poops, probably other dogs' poops. Goddamn dogs. I was telling Elsa, like, is this an effective dog? Does she need to be returned or something? Like, is something wrong with her? Why is she eating her shits? This is why she probably has kennel cough still. Seattle fucked too. Yeah, I mean, Seattle, Washington, just in general, been fucked for a long time, man. I've never really been a fan of it, despite Washington being among the most beautiful states. It is truly beautiful out there for sure, but I don't know what it is, man. I've never met someone from Washington who I like. It's a terrible thing to say, but I do feel that way, man. I went to school in Oregon. There's a lot of people from Washington there. They're all fucking weird. They're all fucking look. I can understand why that guy from what's it called? Smells like Nirvana. Yeah, why he fucking offed himself. He was from Seattle, right? I mean, Jesus Christ. Like, can you imagine? It's just that's what happens, I guess. You just suicide from there. Was Chester from there too? Nobody knows, I suppose. But yeah, Tweaker's going to tweak indeed, Mr. Yarbrook. Tweakers are going to tweak and haters are going to hate. Does a dog come from Dubai? No, we do not have any dogs from Dubai. I don't think Dubai is a great place for dogs, honestly. I think that they kind of don't like dogs there as well because there's a lot of like no dogs allowed signage, especially in downtown Dubai. I think just okay. Please correct me if I'm wrong, and I'm not trying to be offensive here, but this is just how I understand things. My understanding might be completely wrong. Again, you let me know if I'm wrong, if you are from this community, but I believe in like the Muslim community, dogs are looked at as like very dirty and bad, and generally they like cats, but not dogs. But I might be so wrong about this. Again, if I'm offending you, I apologize. I just, for some reason, I have this in my mind. Again, I might be very well wrong on that. But yeah, he was suicide. It says Tyler Adams. Stop, rewind. Was he really? For why? People were just like too afraid of his music. I don't know. I don't fucking know. And Tupac as well, man. What happened right there? Maybe Tupac, Michael Jackson, and Kurt Cobain are all on an island somewhere partying with probably little boys. But well, at least one of them. I lived in Dubai for 8 years. Yep, I concur, says Suzu. Yeah, I think that is true. It's like dogs are haram or something like this. Again, please let me know if I'm wrong on this. I don't actually know, but I remember hearing this from someone somewhere who I'll just blame them for this for this wrong thought if it is indeed wrong. Some dogs just do that. Poop connoisseur or maybe a nutrition deficiency. Yeah, I don't know, man. She's growing pretty well, but she's got worms, and I think eating the old poops is certainly not helping in that regard. Chester was born in Phoenix, really? Chester from Lincoln Park? Man, how did you fucking get that reference out of just one? The poop guy? The pool guy? What about it? We don't need to do anything. Okay, does he need to talk to me? Like, I don't think he needs to talk. Like, that's fine. It's okay. I don't need to know about everything that goes on in the pool. If something's going wrong, let me know. If something's not going wrong, don't fucking contact me. I don't care. Anyways, American population drug problem is deliberate. It's not an accident, says man with no name. Fair enough. I don't know. I'm just reading the comments right here, ma'am. I don't know. Hopefully it's not. I mean, shit, especially with the fucking what's that new drug that's out? It's crazy, man. Like, who is taking that fucking drug that makes you slouch over and look like a fucking half retard and being like, yeah, I want to take that shit. You know, who looks at someone else doing that and is like, yeah, can I have some of what he's having over there? Can you hook me up with that shit? I don't know. Maybe I'm missing something. Perhaps I am missing something. I must certainly be missing something. But that one doesn't seem very enticing to me. You know, it's like in DARE class. You remember when they were telling you about acid and shit, and they're like, yeah, you might see like pink elephants and you might have a really good time. And I'm like, this sounds awesome. But nowadays it's like they actually have shitty, you know, terrible drugs. They're like, yeah, you're going to like slouch over and hang out like with your pants down in the middle of the street and look like a, you know, human zombie for a few hours. Much better. Yeah, fentanyl. That's the one. Fentanyl. Yeah. What the fuck is up with that shit, man? Who wants to actually do that? Biff the Bull says, just got me the LTI. Looking forward to the Fear and Greed. Yeah, man. The Fear and Greed is actually available for you right now if you do have the LTI. All you need to do is claim it in the exact same way that you got the LTI. I'll show you it right here. I won't show you how to claim it. That's already in the course materials and Teachable. But you know, you can get this indicator right now. Again, if you have the LTI, this is now packaged with it. You don't need to do anything extra. All you need to do is just go and claim the indicator. It is right there, ready for you as of this exact moment. You can set it up exactly as I've set it up as well. The tutorial is in the Teachable materials there, and you can also customize it however you desire. But I'm quite liking these particular settings. Pesto himself, who is the progenitor of this indicator, he actually has different settings. They are quite good as well. A little bit of a different purpose. He's trying to optimize as well for major highs. I'm not necessarily doing that in this case, although it does seem to get those generally okay, but it's not perfect in the way that I've it set up right here. I need to really retool it for that purpose if I wanted to get the highs in a really consistent manner. For right now, it's doing a decent job but not a perfect job. It did not get the current all-time high for what it's worth, which I think is kind of a bad sign if that is indeed going to be the high for this cycle. But yeah, he has different settings. All of our settings, however, are listed there, so you can use mine, you can use his, you can build off of ours, you can customize it using none of our settings. That's completely fine as well. It's completely up to you. But yeah, if you do want to copy our settings, they are there for your viewing. And this setup over here, I mean, it's still valid. It's still viable. And it's the one thing it's among the things that does make me think that this rally can still go higher. And that is because when we have seen this setup with extreme fear plus the weekly stochastic sort of flip into the upside, we have seen the next major high come when this fear and greed index over here gets up at least above 70. So for example, this one over here, the most recent one from April 2025 fired off right here, and then Bitcoin, I mean, almost immediately took a leg up and hit that, more greedy zone. It got up to about 87, continued significantly from there as well. But again, it at least got to that number, and even from there, it did continue on. So that is a good sign. This one over here, again, same sort of thing, or I guess it's this one right here. It's not perfectly on there right now. But, again, going from there to extreme greed, and that one was a lot closer to that next major high. Even this one over here, boom, extreme fear, boom, extreme greed. So they do like to resolve themselves in that manner. But the current iteration is nowhere near. It's nowhere near that. So unless if this next weekly opens up with a tremendous leg to the upside, let's say above 70, I would still be of the opinion that there's likely one more try to the upside here, at the very least. And again, potential to actually flip around the trend. I mean, we still do have that meta signal setup that is valid as well. Let me actually bring it up because I haven't looked at it in quite some time. I'm really excited today because I have a massive shipment of bullets coming in. I've been hoarding shit like a fucking crazy prepper recently. It's great. When I say hoarding shit, I mean just hoarding guns and ammo. Like I immediately bought 2,000 rounds of 5.56. Couldn't be happier. Oh fuck, I can't go on Twitter. Twitter's down right now. Okay, sorry, I actually can't bring up the meta signal setup. Or I think everyone's Twitter is down right now. Something's going on there. But yeah. Anyways, I was really looking forward to that. Elsa, by the way, your lash glue was delivered, so it's downstairs for you if you want. But yeah, where was I now? Where was I? Let me read through a few more of these comments and we'll get into some more price action analysis. Metal prices going, you aren't wrong, says Asian Massage. Yeah, I mean, it is the narrative right now. It is the main driver, I feel like, but there are other sectors that are also experiencing some pretty crazy altcoin-like behavior. Obviously everyone knows already about the metals. You got gold, silver, you got palladium, you got platinum, you got copper, you got basically all of them going to the moon and beyond. I think gold was taking a bit of a leg or a bit of a pullback last I looked. Yeah, back down below 46. Not anything super concerning to me. I do think that this rally continues upwards and onwards overall. Still think that this one is going to reach a 5 handle, but probably the other metals are the ones that are going to have like the alt shitcoin type rallies now. Obviously, silver's been following pretty strongly recently. This one is the one to watch. It's almost undoubtedly going to get to $100. I can imagine. It's, typically these things, once they get to $90, they get a free ride to $100. It's already gotten to about 93. So I do expect this one to reach, at least 100, probably a little bit above 100 before it does receive its next like major pullback. And then I imagine most of the other metals are going to go through their own rotations, as you typically see throughout like a shitcoin season, right? So it's like shitcoin season is happening. It's just not in crypto, which I think a lot of people are kind of, focusing, putting the magnifying glass on, just like old news. Like no one gives a fuck about shitcoins anymore. I think most people have figured out, oh, it's actual garbage. It's little actual garbage. Maybe we shouldn't buy the actual garbage. Let's go buy garbage somewhere else. Maybe some rocks. We can actually pretend that they have value there. That's pretty cool. But yeah, going and looking at traditional markets, like I said, SPY is taking a bit of a pullback here. Don't look at this as anything super, super crazy or anything super, super concerning right now. Still overall bullish, still overall in its uptrend. And the weekly is the tell right here. As long as it's closing above that red 5 EMA, which I don't have on this chart. Let me go to the chart that actually has it, which is right in over here. As long as the weekly's closing above that, I still look at this as a trend in motion. And when the weekly closes below, I just look for a correction down to the yellow 21, just like you saw over here. That was a corrected period, obviously. This one's still holding valiantly above that number, which is 69.46.5. So, probably just going to crawl its way upwards and onwards. NASDAQ futures over here, again, struggling to follow. It is getting rotated down after being the market leader for many, the past few years. This one is getting rotated down in favor of especially like the Russell, and then I guess to a lesser extent SPY futures, and it would be like the Russell 2000, then industrial sector, and then SPY. And actually speaking of, let's go check out what these small caps are doing here, because when these things start to rally, which they are, and which they have officially broken out to a new all-time high, and most importantly, they are resolving a 4-year long consolidation right here. That is the shit rallying, and the garbage typically rallies last. Now, just because it's rallying doesn't mean it's going to immediately end right now. No, it's going to very likely go on for some time. This is a monthly. This was, again, a 4-year long, almost 5-year long consolidation just being resolved as of this fucking month, this new year. So is it going to end all in 1 month? Very unlikely, no. Do I think this one's going to head higher? Yeah. Do I think it's going to head decently higher? Yeah. Do I think that this rally is kind of in its early days? Also, yes. Do I think it's going to get up to, 3,300? Yeah. Do I think it might get up even a little bit higher towards 36, 37? Definitely possible. But I do think that this one at least gets to 3,300 for like a target in the next 3 months or whatever. Can take some time, but overall very, very good here. I mean, if you have been waiting for this thing for the past 4 or 5 years, I mean, it's been probably very painful because you got to watch everything else rally to the moon and beyond, making new all-time highs for the last 3-4 years consistently. This thing now finally following. So small caps rallying is generally a bad sign for the overall picture, because it does typically follow, as my mentor taught me, that the shit rallies last, the garbage rallies last, and this is garbage. That is what a small cap is generally, but it still is going to very likely reach higher for some time. This rally could easily last a year. I don't think it's going to be done anytime soon. And again, 3,300 is kind of like a minimum target for me. Personally, I think that it will go higher over time. This can last a year, maybe even 2 years. It can go on for. Here's the yearly, just for reference. Okay, maybe not 2 years, but at least another year and a half, something like that. With targets up above $3,000, I think is extremely likely here. And when that one starts to top out, that's probably gonna be a really bad sign for the rest of the market. It's like your shit coins, which typically rally near the end of a cycle, right? Near the end of a cycle is when those shit coins go on for crazy gains. That's what seduces people and sucks them up into the shitcoin derpity derp game, where they get sucked up into the shit. They think that they're going to get those sort of returns all the times. They think that like 2x's are normal overnight, and it's just not. It's just not. Those are once in a 5-year type thing, if it even happens at all. And kind of that's what we're seeing right now. For the small caps. So yeah. And then on top of that, I mean, these defense stocks that we've been following here on this channel from my portfolio are going crazy. Kratos has gone up from, $65 all the way up to 130. We call this one out when it was like trading at $30 is when I was starting to accumulate this thing and making those videos. This one, I think it has a lot more higher to go. I think that it does get up to like 150, 160, maybe even 170, like probably retries these highs from nearly 20 years ago. But yeah, pretty impressive move right there. Just defense technology in general is pretty good. ITA is another big one that I've been holding, as is Shield. All of these things reaching for new highs right now. Yes, these rallies getting crazy, but I do think that after this last quarter, just eating that up almost immediately to start off the new year is a really good sign. And this one does likely have, another quarter or two to go before it does reach the next sort of swing high. Other things that we've been watching are or anything, significantly interesting right now. I guess not a ton right here. Lunar was something that we called out based off of someone who is in this chat. I continue to forget their name. I really do apologize. I really love to give credit where credit is due for calling out these sort of things. But someone brought this up at the end of 2025. That was when it's trading about $14-15. We said, hey, this looks fucking good. And since then it's gone up, another, I don't know, fucking 50% to 22, not bad. So yeah, market's going crazy right now. And to me that, while it is fun, it does really remind me of like shitcoin times in Bitcoin land. So, that's usually a sign that things are kind of nearing the end, but because traditional markets takes longer for these moves to happen, I don't think it's going to be as short as what we do see typically in crypto land, where it's like a 2 to 3 month long stint of a rally. Instead, for traditional markets, that probably gets multiplied by, I don't know, 2, 3, 4, whatever it ends up being. Generally, these things take longer. And perhaps the returns won't be as good, but still, not bad. I mean, there's been a lot of money to be made, and that's really where the money has been made for the past year. I mean, Bitcoin's been more or less unchanged since 2020, the end of 2024. So yeah, anyways, speaking of Bitcoin, let's maybe actually look at some fucking Bitcoin action over here. Let me just finish off the rest of this caffeines. Martinez, no complaining, no whining, no talking. BYND Permable says, Crown, I'm an OG. Fuck yeah, man. I found you on the holy shit, yeah. The bodybuilding miscellaneous forums. Fuck yeah, man. You know what? Just for that, we're going to go look at your ticker really, really quickly here. I always love seeing OGs of OGs of OGs on this channel, man. It's awesome. Really good, obviously. Look, you're a new all-time high breakout sort of rally here. In these sort of cases, there's not really much to be going off of, in terms of like targets and whatnot. I can do a Fibonacci extension right here. I don't know how much it's going to really matter. You're already at the 1618 extension, so maybe a short-term pullback there. Probably at least see 110 on this rally just because you're in the 90s already. So my sort of rule there is you're generally going to, take a leg up at least a little bit of past that next sort of like hurdle at $100. So, 110 kind of makes sense there. If things carry on, I guess I'd be looking at 125 to 130. But ultimately, this sort of thing, it's in no man's land right now. It's a good place to be, of course, because this is the time where these things can go crazy, and this one is going crazy. And I don't think that the rally is going to be done this month. I think that you at least got another couple months on this rally, and I probably wouldn't be anticipating a high until you get into, you know, when I look at the monthly, I do think you will get up to like 130 or so, but yeah, other than that, I wouldn't be making too many calls here, man. Yeah, I think that this rally will extend some more. I think that it's at least got another couple months in it, and maybe even many more than that as well. But I would say that at least for right now, I wouldn't get too carried away here though, just because this one is starting to get a little bit extended. But yeah, I don't think that you're going to put in a high this month or next month, basically. I think that this one's got some more. Dog doesn't have enough nutrition if they're eating their poops. I don't know, man. She's got a nice little puppy belly, so she seems to be doing pretty well in that regard. But maybe, I don't know. We've been feeding her some pretty damn good food. She's eating like the fucking silver spoon at the moment. Anyways, go into some Bitcoin analysis. First things first, look at some daily price action statistics. Historical price action statistics showing the daily range between about 93,900 to the downside versus about 97,400 to the upside, or sorry, 97,500 to the upside. In this case, I do look at the downside of this as likely to be tested today. In fact, you might even interpret the current move to the downside as already a test. Let's see what the lower term timeframes look like. No, I do think that it will officially test that number. So I would look for a move today, 93,870-ish. Probably a small bounce temp there. Again, I would not get super greedy with these scalps if you are using this tool to scalp at the current moment. Yes, it might end up going well in your favor, but personally, I really don't like getting greedy with these ones right now. You know, these moves have been generally not that volatile for Bitcoin in recent times. Thus, you know, your probability of getting like a $1,000 plus move on these scalps is limited. I would say, you know, $300 is what is very likely to happen on any one of these given attempts here. And yes, you still do get those multi-$1,000 moves, but you know, personally, I would say now is not the time to be super greedy with these sort of things. So if you do see that happen today, maybe a few $100 move, but take the money when it's in your hand and run the other way, because there's going to be another opportunity tomorrow, very likely. Anyways, moving on from there, I do want to get into a higher term time frame look here on Bitcoin. Bitcoin on the 3-week time frame, I think, does or is accurately summarized in the short term by this trend line extension here from the price action pivots indicator. You can see this one connecting with the lows of March 2025. And thus far, that actually has been exactly where Bitcoin's been finding a little bit of a stutter step here at about the 21 EMA at about 95, 150 or so. You know, it's kind of where Bitcoin's hanging out right now. So if Bitcoin can start to close above there on a weekly time frame, I would look at that as a valid signal for Bitcoin continuing to 6 digits. Again, I'm looking somewhere between about 100,000 to 103.5 is kind of like my high probability zone. 98 was the minimum for this rally, but we've already seen that. And of course, we should go over what would invalidate the short-term bullishness for Bitcoin. And I think that this comes down very simply to two different setups. One would be the 5-day 5 EMA setup, which this one has survived now 2 closures. And because it has survived 2 closures, and the average amount of bars in this one for a losing trade is two bars, I would say this one is starting to look better and better. But if we see a reconnect with that red 5 EMA, that is to be expected. And where is that? That is $93,000 almost. So if you do see a move down around there in the next 4 days, because this one just got a new open as of last night, that's fine. We just don't want to see below there in the next 5-day period, closing below again, specifically 92,970, or let's just say $93,000, closing below there on the next 5-day period, which happens next Wednesday. Then yes, I do look at that as a valid signal that this rally has failed. But of course, what if, you know, something happens before then? You know, can we get a more proximal invalidation point? And absolutely, in this case, I'd be using the daily Rev and Ribbons indicator. This one's been fucking money recently, by the way. And I'd be using the midline on this baby, which is 92,700 on a daily closing basis. And if Bitcoin closes below there, 92,700, I would not wait for the 5-day to finish. I would say this thing wants to reverse. It is a confirmed reversal, and we should be getting ready for another move back down sub 90, probably down to like 83, 85 at least. I would imagine. I would imagine. But for right now, as long as Bitcoin is above these numbers, again on a daily closing basis, 92,600 or 92,700, let's say on a 5-day time frame. What was it exactly? Let me get back here. $93,000. If one of those two conditions is violated, you're going to hear me switch around to short term, calling this rejection and looking for a move back down to 85-ish, somewhere between 83 to 85. But for right now, Bitcoin obviously above those. It is still in a relatively strong position. It doesn't feel that strong, but yeah, it is technically still in a short term uptrend, and we should be looking for Bitcoin to hit some of those targets. In fact, on the Rev and Ribbons indicator over here, the midline for the upside target is going to be about 97,700 again. So, maybe we see like a quick reconnect with this midline right here, then bounce back up. Something like that would just be another higher low. So, do be aware of that. But again, closing below there, that is exactly where, specifically right exactly here at 92. Let's just call it 92,700 on a daily closing basis. That is where I call this rally a failed rally, and get ready for some downside, at least to 83 to 85 region, somewhere in that pocket there. Until then, still $100,000 is in the cards here. The general markets, the broad markets are still conducive to this. They're still rallying. They're still looking overall okay. And Bitcoin, momentum on the higher term time frame still decent here. It's not great, but weekly stochastic momentum continues to see the upside, pending this week's closure on CME, which is today, by the way. As long as Bitcoin finishes today above $88,000, so far looking good on that metric. The biweekly time frame also closes today, and this one is very unlikely going to meet its pivot, which is $100,000 or 150 basically. Here's the thing though, when this one opens up freshly for next week, that pivot to flip around momentum should switch around significantly. So that likely becomes a more attainable pivot. And if we see Bitcoin above that new pivot starting Monday, that would be another really good signal that Bitcoin does have an attempt above $100,000, maybe even flipping around the overall trend. Again, 107,500 is my line in the sand. And if it can do that, then yeah, that is very likely going to make new all-time highs, towards 130 and beyond. But other than that, there's not a whole hell of a lot of new things. If we go back to the Rev and Ribbons indicator over here, I think the 5-day time frame actually, which I know Revan probably doesn't use much himself, but I do see it playing quite technically on this indicator. So I'm going to go ahead and use it. I'm not sure if I have his blessings on this one, but in this case, we can see that it is struggling around the midline right here. So you kind of would expect that based off of this indicator. That also implies on the other side, if the next 5-day time frame closes above the midline, which is 95,900, so that's going to be next Tuesday/Wednesday. We're going to see very likely a big move well above $100,000. I'd imagine this target probably comes down a little bit, maybe around like 105-ish. But yeah, so you got two major pivots on both sides. The bias right now is to the upside, pending this next 5-day closure above this number. That would initiate those next set of targets. And of course, that does come in alignment with the Fibonacci retracement right here as well. You got the 50% retracement at 103,500. Bitcoin loves to test those on these sort of corrective moves. So yeah, fair enough. Again, my personal disposition, this rally will likely fail, but I will change my opinion above 107,500. And in the meantime, probably looking for this rally to trade a little bit further north, maybe somewhere around here. Let's call it low 100s. And of course, if Bitcoin in the interim does close below about 92, where exactly was it on the daily, 92,700, then yes, I would capitulate on any sort of further upside in the short term and be looking for another move down about almost $10,000 lower. So big ranges here, but ultimately kind of low volatility ranges, despite the big number tag on them. So yeah, anyways, that's what I got for Bitcoin. Let me see what's going on over here in the super chat land. Elsa already got a shit ton of them lined up. So just un momento. What the fuck is going on over here? Wait, I've got too many things going on right now. Oh yeah. By the way, does anyone have a Cocker Spaniel? I know it's a random question, but they seem like really great dogs. Do you have to walk them a lot? Because I don't like walking. I don't like walking dogs, but I do like dogs. And I feel like that might be a good breed. Anyways, we got Steven Schickman first. Mr. Ben's chair. The pinned comment. Imagine if you've been saying Schickman wrong this entire time. There has been many cases like that where I've been like calling someone by what I think is their name, and then maybe like fucking 2 years later they're like, by the way, that's not how you pronounce my name. I'm like, thanks, man. You could just have told me that beforehand. By the way, Quantum Wavebands over here did close their trade that was opened last Friday. They did open up a new trade over here. I don't like that one right now, but I do think that you will get a bounce somewhere around that entry. I don't know, man. It just had a couple wins in a row, so cooling off over there. Let me go back to, where's my main chart? There's my HPDR, but not any significant setups right there as of the moment. Where's my chart? I want this chart right here. I want my RSI chart that has caretaker's RSI. There we go. All right, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. There she is, back again, back in action. All right, Zeta Global, please. Cool. Let's check this one out. This is another shitcoin in the traditional markets, but what are we doing here? Yeah, okay, so I marked this one off as a breakout. Am I going to be wrong about this one? I actually don't. I don't think so. Even though it is pulling back short term, I do think that this one ends up putting in a higher low above $20. But here's where I would say I would change around my opinion, Mr. Schickman, and say that this one is going to be a failure with downside, back down to like 15 and below. Is if it comes back down and closes a daily delta below $19.50. If it does that, I call this rally failed. But for right now, I look at this as a reconnect with the 5 EMA. I still look at the breakout as legitimate, and I do look at this one as likely to head up at least to like 27, $28. Technically, there is a target a little bit higher towards about 32. Does it get there or not? I don't know, but I do think that has one more leg up towards this top side of the range at 28, let's say. So yeah, still kind of the same look on this one. Again, with that invalidation in mind at exactly $20. MSTZ as well. Okay, this is the inverse MicroStrategy. See how this one's looking. Yeah, coming down significantly here. Has it violated, however, our major area of interest? And oh my fucking Lord, it has. It has indeed. It hit our downside target. I wasn't around the last couple of days to actually see this one, but that's cool. Is getting a bounce from there. Caretaker's RSI showing some hidden bullish evidence. So, let it play out a little bit of a bounce here. Might even head up to like 1370 first, but I do think that this one has done something significant to the downside now. So while this one is bouncing, it might spend a few days, bouncing a little bit more all the way up to like $14 or so. It did take out and trade below the low of December 9th, and this is now reversing into a downtrend. So, whether this one rallies up to like $14 or whether it goes even a little bit higher to 15, I do look at this rally similar to Bitcoin that this rally is going to fail, and the target to the downside is going to be, it's at some point it's going to be all the way back down here to like $6. But for right now, let it kind of try out this bounce, play out that hidden bullish evidence. And then if it gets rejected, 14, 15, whatever it ends up being, that's where I'd get ready for the next major push to the downside. Because this one actually has broken structure. You do have a lower low now, and that is significant. So yeah, that should be good for Bitcoin because this is a 2x inverse ETF for MicroStrategy. So MicroStrategy itself should be bouncing pretty well here. We've been looking for a bounce on MicroStrategy for a while. It did bounce pretty well. It got 190 so far. I'm still looking above $200. I don't think that this bounce is over. I do think that this bounce does reach higher. I still think it at least gets to like 225, 230. Personally, I think it gets even higher than that to like 260. But yeah, I highly doubt this bounce is over. You're coming off the 200 simple, just let it bounce. I highly doubt that this is done right now. This is a pullback into a higher low on the daily and continuation higher. What's up, Straight Path? He's looking at CLSK daily weekly. Gotcha, man. Okay, cool. Let's check it out over here. And what do we got on this one? Clean Spark, NASDAQ. Nice hidden bullish evidence on the weekly RSI. I still look for this one to head up to like 15 and a half, $16. That is my big line in the sand, though. If it can close above there, which I think there's a pretty good shot that it will, I would be looking for a nice rally all the way up to the highs that you saw from March of 2024 and most recently in October of 2025 at about $23, $24. But short term up, watch that pivot at $16, closing above there, then yes, I look for that rally to continue on. I personally think that it will do that based off of the hidden bullish evidence right here on Caretaker's RSI, but if you want to play it by the book, that would be the way to look at those major pivots. And of course, to the downside, obviously very bearish below $10, but I don't think you're doing that in the short term. I think it's an upside move in the short term. Freddie M says chances BidF hits $4.50 to $5 in the next few weeks. Always a fun question, just like especially if it's trading at like fucking 20 cents. That's how those questions usually come about. Hidden bullish evidence on this local low. You did play a nice move to the upside. I do think it has a little bit more to 360, but that's pretty far away from your targets, man. Okay, chances for that, we could actually use the HPDR. Let's check out this one. All right, my bit derps. Let's go to the weekly. You're right at the median. You're not going to like this because the median is kind of like a 50-50 area, I suppose. Not very helpful. you're kind of in no man's land right here, but I do very much agree with the median as a major pivot. That is 330. So if you can close a weekly above 330, I do think you will get, I do think that you will get like 4.25, maybe not $5, but 4.25 in like the next 2 to 3 weeks following that. But that hinges upon this thing's ability to close above, again, the median at 330 on a weekly time frame, nothing less. Well, if the daily closed back above last Tuesday's high at 324, I would say the same thing. Then, I don't know, maybe if you fast forward like 2 to 3 weeks from there, then yeah, you probably do get your 4.25 target. Yeah, something like that, man. Yeah, let's go back to it over here. Let's see. Right now, what's up, man? Good morning, Crown. What's up, dude? Fart. Ah, yes. On the daily, shorting fart from 38.80. Oh, baby. Let's see what this one's doing. Yeah, it's trading at 36 cents right now. Shit, man. I mean, these shitcoins are taking their first chance to sell off pretty harshly, I guess. I don't know. It's just a rejection of the 21 EMA on the weekly time frame already. It's possible, yes. Where can we find a good pivot on this thing? Yeah, I would say that this thing has found its next lower high. If it comes back down below 31 cents, that's my confirmation for this being the next macro lower high, and this thing's getting ready to come back down to like the teens. But for right now, overall, I think you have a really good position. I just would fear that there might be one more rally back up to like 42, 43 cents before the real move to the downside. I think that's very possible there. And then, of course, if this thing got any sort of extension on this rally, the obvious target is 64, 65 cents. Let's just say 60 cents. But that would be a gift from God to short, in my opinion. For right now, there are some good reasons to believe that you have seen the rally, or sorry, have seen the height of this rally, and that's it. But personally, I need to see it really close below about 31 cents, let's say. Okay, maybe I don't need to wait for 31 cents. Let's say 34 cents on a daily closing base. If it closed below there, then yes, I called this rally failure, and get ready for, teens again. But I think you're going to end up being right on direction. I just don't know the timing of this one here. So you might have to eat another move to the upside. It's very possible in this regard. Kind of a tough position, because it's one of those very frustrating positions where it's like, I'm right, but I'm wrong. I'm right, but I'm early. Anyways, Devald is back. What's up, dude? RIVN, daily, weekly, monthly. Gotcha. Okay, we've been watching this one many times recently. Yeah, breaking down a little bit in the short term. Oh, wow. Is it going to fail this breakout? No, I still look at this one as likely to try for a higher low, pretty much exactly right here at $16.50. You've kind of already seen that low, so it doesn't give any guarantees, but it does provide the very obvious invalidation point, which is any sort of a weekly closure below 1570. And I do say that I'll be wrong on this one, because before I was looking at this one as a legitimate breakout, likely to trade up towards like 26, 27, 28 bucks. You did get up to 22.5, but that is still like 20% away from the areas that I was looking for. So I would still be generally biased towards that happening. But if you do, again, lose 1575 on a daily, even daily closing basis, I would say I'm going to be wrong on that one, and this one's going to come back down to these lows, but I'd give it a chance first. Yes, this one's never really known what a true uptrend is, but I do like the slew of higher lows here. So personally, I'd give it a chance, but you really should not expect much lower than where it's already gotten to this month if this one is going to be bullish. So yeah, $16.50, kind of a big line in the sand there. Okay, before I was saying 1575. I think you could move that up to like 16 bucks if you want to be a little more aggressive. Yeah, shouldn't really be going too much lower than that if this one it does fall through to the upside. So tough one right there, but I'd still give it a chance. Again, line in the sand. Let's just call it 16 bucks. Cut those ones to the middle. David Reynolds is saying, can you look at CNC stock on Canadian Shitcoin Exchange? Okay. CNC. Okay, this one right here. Thank you for specifying the exchange, because I would have definitely chosen the other one in this case. Pretty good move, of course. let me go back to my RSI chart. I really prefer Caretaker's RSI for traditional market looks rather than stochastic momentum. That stochastic momentum works a lot better for Bitcoins and cryptos. But yeah, this thing pretty good rally here. You are retesting the highs from January of 2024 though. So, these are common pullback regions, but pullback is not bad necessarily. It very likely resolves in a higher low. But yeah, just be aware, you're kind of at the top side of your range. You're at 2.25. Yeah, you did already trade into that region. You are pulling back from it already. I think that you might pull back a little bit more, but it should be a higher low. So ultimately, this one does very likely resolve to the upside. I do think that it actually will claw its way back up above $3. But in the short term, if that's relevant to you, maybe not because you're on a monthly and a quarterly. But in the short term, you might see a bit of a pullback. I don't think it's super concerning. I do think that this one will claw its way back above $3. So this should be a major low. So yeah, red pill closet. Wait, what? You're a closet homo with the red pill? All right, fair enough. We don't discriminate here. GM Crown, what's up, man? I say GM to my mom and also many other things. Mom, do you want some gummies tonight? All right. He's looking at Lunar. So yeah, Lunar was, again, someone in this community brought it up like randomly at the end of last year when I was trading like 14, 15 bucks. We looked at it. I'm like, damn, I want that. And I bought it. So full disclosure, I do own this one. It is now reaching our target, our first major target, which was the highs of 2025 at about 23, 24 bucks. So I think you got a little more on this rally. It should, however, pull back after retesting this high. It's just very common to see these sort of things. It's not bad. Ultimately, this one very likely is going to move higher than its 2025 high. Do I have targets for this thing? Not really. Just kind of eyeballing it, which is not the best way of doing it. But, looking at the rate of change here, quoting Fiboswani, I don't know, probably somewhere around like 30-ish, 35 on this rally. But this one's going to be in no man's land just because, it's basically just been in one major range since its birth, about 5-6 years ago now. So, about 5 years ago. So it's like, yeah, short-term pullback relatively soon, but I think that this thing's going higher. Personally, I'm just going to continue to hold this one. I don't see anything that's an obvious topping signal just yet. Can we make a Fibonacci extension here just to get some areas of interest to the upside? We could. I don't trust it that much, but just tentatively speaking, I'd probably be looking at least 36 bucks once it actually does break that high. But that's like a much further in the future type thing. Let's say like, I don't know, later this year, like beyond the first half maybe. So yeah, not bad right there. Not bad indeed. After a long period of accumulation, Letfi is back. She's looking at Bcash. She is asking, can I short it? Well, it's always good to borrow conviction from some herpy derp like me on YouTube, but can you short it? The answer, I mean, look, I personally am biased towards this one failing right here. You do have on Caretaker's RSI a drive of bearish divergence populating. That will confirm with any sort of a closure on Sunday below 668. Below 668, that does get confirmed. And at that point, I'm looking for some sideways and downside action to like probably 400, maybe 350 over time. But until you get that closure, it's still, I mean, this is, look, if this was not Bcash's chart, and I know I've told you this a million times, so you already know where I'm going with this, but if this did not say Bcash right here, I'd say, actually, that's pretty good and probably breaks to the upside. But because it's Bcash, because it always fails these rallies, I'm very inclined to say it's going to fail right here. And because it stuttered for so long around here, just like me, with my stupid fucking stuttering, I'm a lot more inclined to say it's going to fail as well. It's just, that's just what this thing likes to do. So yeah, definitely biased against this one personally, but just trying to find something that's like super obvious here. In the short term, I think you get one more rally to the upside. I think you rally back to like 630. So if you are looking to short this, I do think you get a better entry actually, back above, I don't know, somewhere around here between like 615 on the lower end to like maybe even as much as 640 on the upper end. But that's, if this thing's going to fail, that's where I'd expect the next rally to be rejected from. So yeah. All right, what else we got? Crypto Rect, he says, love from Brisbane. I hear it's called Bris Vegas, actually. River, oh God, we got some real crypto shitcoins here. All right, River Coin. My River coins, yes, my River fucking coins. Big, massive wicks to the upside, but I don't know how much it matters on something like this. It's just probably really low liquid type shit. So, these probably aren't that concerning. At least it does have an uptrend. Almost everything in crypto land can't really say that right now, so I guess that's good. I don't know, man. I'd probably just be bullish on it still as like a defensive measure as long as you're above like 18.5 bucks. But the second you start to close the daily dildo below 18.5, I would say this one's topped out for a long time. I just don't know how to read these wicks right now because it could just be read as like a super illiquid shitcoin, and that's just how these things look. But if you're applying like a general lens to this, you'd say, oh, that's some obvious selling pressure, and this thing wants to come down. Now you got some bearish divergence building here. This would be a good place for this thing to top out. But I personally wouldn't make that call until you're back down below. What was it? What was it? Back down, closing below about 18 and a half, 19 bucks, something like that. Yeah. Until then, I don't know. Still has an uptrend here, to be fair. And you got even yesterday's low is pretty good pivot. That's 17.37. So if you want to be a little more conservative, I'd wait for that one to get taken out before calling a top here. But yeah, 4-hour time frame. I don't have much to make out of this. I'm a little more inclined to say that it does get one more rally, something like this. But that's just an opinion. Anyways, Ray now says AMD US stock, monthly, quarterly. Gotcha, man. Yeah, AMD, I fucking hate their products, but their stock, not so bad. By the way, has anyone looked at like computer component prices recently? It's fucking insane, man. It's actually insane. Like GPUs have doubled in price almost. It blows my mind. They're not getting that much better, by the way. Like the fucking 40 series NVIDIA chips are not that much off from the 50 series. All right, this thing, NVIDIA, or sorry, not NVIDIA, AMD, pretty good right here. I really like this week in the sense that it could very well confirm a bullish engulfing dildo. Now, my LARP lines here have this one going sideways for a little bit longer. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. Overall, it is bullish. That is the important part. And the invalidation here is very obviously 195. Below 195 on a daily closing basis. Okay, invalidate bullish statements, send it back down to like, I don't know, 150. But for right now, it is strong. And if it closes above last week's high at 234, that is a breakout. So if it does that by the end of today, I would look for this one to make, probably test the all-time highs and make new all-time highs in the next week or two. But if it doesn't do that today, I still think that these LARP lines are like directionally correct, go sideways here, but overall it is bullish. Yeah, quarterly, again, bullish. You're coming off of hidden bullish divergence on the last low. I mean, that was from April, by the way. So, this one played out pretty good, significant portion already. But, upon continuation of new highs, you're probably looking at 290 to 300. Not bad at all here. Getting a little bit more crazy, obviously, in this rally, but I think that it likely has some more to go throughout the rest of this year. So, yeah. I do not own this one, by the way. I just don't like their product. Leffy is back. She's looking at Zencoin. I heard this one is also privacy features. Yeah, I mean, look, I probably shouldn't point this out because I highly doubt it plays out. But yeah, there is some bullish divergence on the quarterly RSI. You don't see that too often. I guess if there ever was going to be a bounce, that's probably what it comes off of. Monthly is already testing into the green 55 EMA. So that is a pretty good place if it is going to top out. I really don't like these plays here because, the bias on something like this is that it has to fail. It doesn't have to fail. It doesn't have to do anything, but it's very likely to fail. But is it going to fail exactly from where it's at right now? Or could it have maybe a spike into a new high at 20 bucks and then come down? I really don't know on this one because you do have many drives of bullish evidence on higher term timeframes here. So it is one of those potential situations where it could do one of these one-off rallies in which, it goes up a lot. I mean, they all fail, but it still goes. This one went up like 300% almost. This one over here went up almost 600%. I mean, this is fucking crazy. So I think it is possible it might do one of those ones here. I just think that ultimately it will fail. So whether it tops out here at 13, whether it goes all the way up to like 20, I don't know. But I would be looking for this rally to fail. I do think, Leffy, it will try a little bit higher first. I do think that it will go up to like 15 or 16 bucks. I don't think that this rally is done just yet, basically. I do think that it has one more spike up. I think that it's just going to fail at some point. So, yeah. Yeah. Here's the thing, though, Luffy. If this, by some act of God, by some fucking alternate universe, if this thing trades above the November of 2025 high at $25, you actually do have a monthly reversal, which it doesn't feel right to talk about it on something like this, but it technically is there. So yeah, I guess there is some potential there, but and privacy coins kind of are a small narrative for crypto shit coins right now, right? I mean, Monero is the one that's kind of holding the line at the moment. Let's see what this one's doing. Yeah, Monero looking pretty good. Did make new highs, and we actually have. Oh my god, wow! This one almost hit our target in like fucking 2 days after breaking out. Crazy. So our implied target here is like 850. This one's traded up to 800. It's pretty good. And basically the only like significant rallies that we're seeing right now are crypto privacy shitcoins. Although Monero, I wouldn't say it's a shitcoin. I still generally think that it is okay. But yeah, implied target is about 850. Wouldn't be surprised to see this thing get to $1,000 actually, to be honest with you. TTG Coolio says XMR. Oh, it's like I read your mind. 800 top or still some juice left. I think that there's still some juice left, man. Yeah, this rally's crazy. Yeah, this rally's pretty significant, but I do think that it still has, another leg up. I think that this thing, while the implied target is 850, I think that at some point it will get to $1,000, probably even a little bit above $1,000. Weekly RSI is still conducive to this one rallying more. I mean, this breakout's pretty fresh. And keep in mind that this one's breaking out after a consolidation for like, what, 8 years since 2017? I don't think it's going to be done in 1 week. I think it's going to go on for like a few months at least. So yeah, pretty good here. Probably among the best crypto charts that we'll see today. No, I don't think it's topped. Unless you're talking about like very short-term stuff, in which case, sure. I mean, it's probably topped a little bit, I guess. Devald says, Intel, I should say I do own this one. So full disclosure, I am heavily biased here because, well, I liked the chart when I bought it. Did hit about $50 or a little bit above $50, which was a pretty major target for us. That was your highs from a couple of years ago in December of 2023. Pulling back from those, that's to be expected, of course. We almost always expect a pullback after an all-time high, after a major high test. But I do look at this as good and likely to find a higher low and launch its way higher past that prior high. But, this is a pretty epic run already from the lows of about $20. This one traded up already 150%. So I do think it's going to spend some time pulling back and trading sideways and then very likely reclaim this high and retest all-time highs. Or maybe not all-time highs, but these highs here are like $69. Great number as well. So I do think that this one will move higher overall. I just don't think it's ready in the short term. I think that you're going to spend some time going sideways here. But yeah, personally, I'm continuing to hold this one. I don't have any plans to let go of it right now, but I am, as I should say, in from significantly lower at like $20 or so. Aaron, what's up, man? Good morning to you, man. Is Tether Dominance about to flip or still risky? Yeah, I was looking at this one at the beginning of this stream before the stream, and I do think we have a reversal here, which is good news for Bitcoins. Let's go down to, I think it was a weekly, yeah. Whoops. So the weekly right now is starting to lose a 200 simple, and we do see that there is kind of like a lot of the time when you see a weekly RSI like this, it plays out like a head and shoulders because you do get a spike 1, spike 2, spike 3, and it's basically a lost momentum, right? That's what you're seeing right here on what is a rally into the top side of the range and a rejection from there as well. So I do think this one does have some downside, but I wouldn't get super, super bearish on it. The monthly is still objectively good, as is the quarterly. So I do think that you have some downside here. Maybe it comes down to like 520. And then if you see a higher low there, I mean, that's going to be pretty hard to ignore. But I do think you got some downside here. Very, very short term, like the daily short-term rally. But I do think that this one finds its way further to the downside. So like if I'm going to draw out some large lines, I don't know, maybe something like this, boom, comes down. This is where I'd be very cognizant. You might find that next higher low, and that would be not good for the boo laws, just put it bluntly. But yeah, for now, I do think that it favors some downside. The crown oscillator is also turning down here too. So not bad. At some point, I'm going to include the crown oscillator with the crown trading Bible. But for now, I mean, it's probably ready. I should probably just do it. I should probably just pull the trigger. But I'm working on something else for the crown Bible. I'm basically creating like a massive quiz for everything, because it's one thing to go through all the content. It's another thing to actually prove that you've learned it. And I want to do that. You can have a nice little certificate of completion. That would be good. that would be good. And then Aaron is back. He says, FY, having dogs, eating pork, and alcohol is haram in Islam. That's what we're dealing with in Iran for the past 47 years. Yeah, you know what I think a lot of people would find interesting, or maybe they'd find interesting, because I just kind of learned it recently, is that in the past year I started studying this stuff. Iran was like, they were never really a Muslim country. Like the Iranians don't really consider themselves like that at all. They're Persians. Which is distinctly different. And if you've seen like your average Arab person and your average Iranian person, they don't really look like each other. They have distinctly different features. Anyways, the point that I'm trying to make is that it wasn't until, as you said, about 50 years ago, where they basically just got forcibly taken over. I mean, what happened there? I guess a lot of people think that the Jimmy Carter administration kind of just left them out to dry, I guess. Sucks, man. It really sucks to see that kind of shit, man. It really sucks to see that kind of stuff, man. Especially now that, the real implications of that are coming around. I mean, for fuck's sake, like, I don't know what to trust on the death toll in Iran, but whatever it is, it's not good. Like, even the lowest projections I've seen is not fucking good. And the highest projections I've seen are like really, really scary. It can't be true. I mean, I've seen some people projecting like 20,000. I guess I wouldn't be that surprised if it's true, but like, I hope it's not true. That's a lot of fucking people. That's, as the saying goes, one death is a tragedy, and a million deaths is a statistic. Fucked up, man. Super fucked up. Yeah. Anyways, on to the next topic. Biff the Bull says, Silver, no time frame, just thoughts scaling out of my long. I think if you're holding from like a lot lower, it's just wise to let go of some here. Not that I think that this thing's topping out just yet, but if you're gonna be professional and be responsible with this kind of shit, I imagine you're probably in a lot of profit. You've been holding this thing for even just a few months. I would be taking at least some profit here. Do I think it goes higher? Yes. But you need to hedge yourself unless you're wrong. And also, it's just good to take some profits, man. You can roll them back into something else. You can keep it and use it for some expenses. But do I think this run's done? No. Do I think this run has a little bit more? Yes. Do I think it's mostly done? Yes. Do I think it's going to get above $100? Yes. Do I think it gets to like 110? Probably. But I would be scaling out of some here, man. For example, so I've been I've been investing in Kratos for a while now. And even though I've been very bullish on it from about $30, I did let a lot go a little bit above $100, just because it's just too much money in your pocket. You just gotta close your hands and make a small sacrifice. You'll always wish that you did later on as well. Even if it does go higher, it's just a good habit to get into, and keeps you around for the long term. So yeah, that'd be my take on that, man. I would be scaling out a little bit here, even though again, I do strongly believe it will go higher. It will very likely go above 3 digits. Mr. D says, or Mr. Double D, oh shit, you got titties? That's great. Hi, sir. Looking to hold meta long positions long term. Now a good. Elsa, are you here? Oh, well. I just haven't heard you say shit for like a long time. Anyways, Mr. Double D says, looking to hold meta positions long term. Now a good time. I don't know. Let's see. I don't hate buying some here around $600, but I would be aware that it can go lower. Be aware that your risk is probably down to like 500 if things fail below the November lows. But if you just want to start to, create a position long-term for a long-term investment, I don't hate taking or putting some money to work at the yellow 21 EMA on a monthly time frame. I would just be aware that this thing can definitely go lower here. And we do have signals that suggest it will. Quarterly time frame has 1, 2, 3 drives of bearish divergence. So, if it does take a leg down to $500, don't be surprised. Personally, I'd put a little bit of money to work here around 600, but if it goes down to 500, that's where I'd be a lot more interested in doing business, personally. So yeah. All right. Arms Private says, what price we should watch out to suggest we are more likely hit the high already for Bitcoin? You mean like what prices do I think are going to be the high for Bitcoin on this rally if it's going to fail? Like I said, the lowest is 98, but we've already hit that. So next one, which I do think will get hit, is like 101 to 103. I think that's a pretty good area right there. And then of course, 107 and a half is still my line in the sand. So whether it's like, I don't know, 102, 103, I don't know, but I'm looking for a rejection. I'm not necessarily looking for a price get hit. I'm looking for a rejection. Right now, we don't have it just yet. I still think this one is likely to go a little bit higher, but I'm looking more so for a reaction and a response from price rather than just like a straight up price number. But if I do have to put some prices on it, that would be sort of my area of interest for right now. Let's call it 103. It's also the implied target from the breakout of this ascending triangle that Bitcoin's been in for the past couple months. What else we got? Bryce Pingos, he says RIVN. We kind of already did this one, I guess, so probably don't need to do it again. But if I'm on the daily here, yeah, I'm still looking at that December 11th low as a big pivot below there. I think hopium for this rally does get, hopium for this one continuing does get crushed. So yeah, would be unfortunate, I suppose, but oh well. Andrew Plus says, can we take a look at Morgan Stanley stock, more upside? What is their, I actually don't know what is their ticker? No, is it Morgan MS? Yeah, it is. Okay, or I should have guessed that one. More upside? Yeah, I do think that there is more upside in this one. Yes, it's a crazy rally, but I do think that it goes on for a little bit more, probably another month or two, finishes out this quarter. Tentatively speaking, I think that it will get above $200, maybe like 210 region, and that's where I'd probably be looking for the next like major high. But this is a fresh continuation move right here. It's a bullish engulfing dildo on a weekly, as long as you close today above 189, which I think it probably will. So yeah, I think it continues more. Yes, I think you're very close to the next major high. Can it go up past $200? Sure. But I'd start to really be defensive in that region, man. I'd be very defensive in that region. So a little bit more upside, I think, is likely. Just, I do think most of this rally is done. Mr. Double D's back again. He's looking at Adobe. Okay, Adobe. Been holding since 2023. Don't like it. Yeah, you've been holding since 2023 and you're basically unchanged to maybe at a slight loss. No, I don't like this kind of stuff that doesn't rally when everything else is rallying. Is it likely to try another low here? It has to, otherwise this thing is going to be very fucking bad. And personally, I think that it will come down further. I don't think it's going to hold here. I don't think it's going to reverse here. I think that this thing will come down to like 260. So yeah, I don't like it. I actually don't like it. You already got lower highs right here and right here. If you come back down to the same low, it might bounce again. It probably does bounce again. It's just the bias is undoubtedly on a general breakdown. Lower highs with same lows is a downside bias. So, and I do think it tries to move here like 250, 260, probably bounces back up to like 420, 430, 450, and then your big move to the downside if that's going to happen. Yeah, I think the yearly is kind of ugly here. But hopefully I'm wrong. I think you're going to get a big bounce off of like 250. So maybe there's some hopium after that, but I do think that you will get down there first, then bounce, then come back to it. Biff the Bull says indicators you recommend for timeframes under 30-minute. So it's not necessarily the time frame that begets an indicator. It's more so what you're trying to do. Are you trying to scalp? Are you trying to trend trade? Are you investing for the long term? Are you, scalping like intrabar moves? It really depends what you're doing. And then we can backwards engineer the proper indicators that can facilitate that goal. The time frame doesn't really matter because if you're trend trading on a 30-minute or a weekly, for example, you're probably using about the same indicators. Or if you're scalping, you can use those same indicators most likely. But if you're doing different strategies, like if you're scalping on the daily and trend trading on the 15-minute, that's going to be different indicators. So yeah. All right, we got Davald again. He's looking at pump crypto coins, pump.fun. Oh yes, this thing. Wow, I'm very surprised it's going down. I don't know, might extend the run a little bit more towards the yellow 21, but this is a down only chart, very obviously. It might have already even topped out. long term, the direction is down. Do you want to call the next high here? Do you think it goes maybe a little bit higher to like 3 1/3 of a cent? Maybe. I don't know. Just I would be looking for this thing to fail. That's one thing that I'd feel very confident on. It's going to fail. It's going to head lower. Has it found a high here? Does it go maybe another 10% higher? That's a question mark. But ultimately, very likely resolves to the downside. This is bad, at least for the history that we have right now, which is, somewhat limited to be fair. But this is kind of a good area for a lower high. If it takes one more leg up to the upside, then I'd say another 10% run to like 330, and then down. Batmanny 6 says, "Hey Crown, what do you think of VST stock?" Well, I don't know. Let's look at it first. Vistra Corp. Vistra isn't that like the Indian airline? This would be a good place for a higher low, right on the yellow 21 EMA. You do have lower lows on the monthly RSI, so there is potential for hidden bullish divergence here. I would be treating this as a higher low at 150, meaning that it's an obvious invalidation point. So if you do come back down below 150, then yeah, it's fucked. And weekly's kind of ugly right there, but I'd still give it a chance. I'd be bullish on this thing as long as you above 150. The second you come back down below 150 and close like even a daily or especially a weekly below there, this thing's gonna get fucking shreked down to like 120 or so. It's gonna be a fucking boo-cocked. It's gonna be bad, but for now, I'd give it the benefit of the doubt just because this has had a pretty good chart, and it is kind of if it is going to continue to be bullish, that is where you do expect the next higher low. So yeah, Noah Reason is looking at XMR, but we've kind of already gone over that a couple times, so I think we're good there. Adrian Renee says, "Good morning, sir. What's up, dude? Sir Wing on the daily. Okay, Wing. All right. Whoops. Wingstop, or is it Wing Finance? Oh god, it's probably this shit. Bad. I'm very surprised. That is very bad. Amazing. Fucking flush this shit down the toilet. Don't show it to Rosie though. My Hey, Elsa, Josh just hit me up. He must be listening to the stream or something, but he just dropped off some treats that'll make Rosie's shits taste bad, so she'll stop eating them. Yeah, I know. Josh is the best. He's fucking great. If it's this thing, it's fucking bad, man. It's like, you already know that, but hopefully it's a stock, because that would be infinitely better. Oh, you meant the stock. Okay, great. That's good. Infinitely better. Yeah, hidden bullish evidence on the last monthly higher low. I think that this one is putting in a major low here, and I do think that it will work its way higher towards 320, maybe even all the way up to 350. Is it going to break out from there? I don't know, but I think that overall this thing is putting in a macro low here. This is good. I would be bullish as long as you're above $200, especially long term. It's good. Yeah. Below $200, very bad. Even closing a weekly below like 225, I would call a breakdown. But until then, when you got signals like this, in my opinion, you just have to go with that. So I really respect monthly divergence reads from caretakers RSI when it comes to like long-term looks on stocks. That's how I make a lot of my decisions as well. So yeah, overall pretty fucking good here. Again, pending a closure below 225, yeah, I'd be bearish. But until then, just let it do its thing, man. I think that this thing might make new highs this year. Very possible, but that's probably like a late 2026 thing. Truth TV says, "Great to see you back." All good, man. Check out NVIDIA. Sure, I can. If you give me time frames, probably better, but whatever. Anyways, this thing probably gonna make new highs this year. It's just, the general rally is very, very late. It's very, very late in this rally. So while you probably got, another try towards these highs, maybe slightly new highs at 225, 230 or something like that, I think most of this rally is done and you are getting ready for a pretty sizable pullback. But in the short term, I think you got one more move to the upside, and I would only switch bearish in the short term if you do come back down below this price action pivot low at 170. To answer the question from earlier on the 30-minute time frame, I would say price action pivots is kind of one of those indicators that are pretty much useful in every time frame, and I think most people can find some value in it, like strategy independent, basically. But yeah, in this case, that would be my line in the sand. Below there, I'm bearish, and I call like a major macro high here. But until then, I think you got one more swing to new highs, like 225 to 230ish region, and then I do think that you're coming down from there. But yeah, at some point, I think this thing will come back down to like 150, 160. Maybe not this year, might be a next year thing, but yeah, just kind of correlates with my general view that the overwhelming majority of this rally is over. So yeah. What else we got? We got Biff the Bull. He's looking at NVIDIA as well. 4-hour and daily. All right, fair enough. In a call from Wednesday, you mean like you bought some calls? Fair enough. Like I said, in the short term, I kind of favor this one. I think that you spike back up towards these 193, 194 highs. Does it actually reclaim those highs? I think it probably does. You do have a higher low right here, so biases on upside continuation. So yeah, I think that you generally continue probably next week, something like that, man. Yeah, I don't know how that's going to work out with your call, though. I mean, the problem with buying naked options, like when you're buying premium, it's never going to be as profitable or as good if you're managing your own risk as buying just straight up spot. When options shine, when options truly shine is when you're doing multiple legs or using options with the spot underlying or futures. If you're not doing it that way, it's just not gonna be optimal, man. Like you're buying a lottery ticket probably because it's a little bit cheaper, but even if you're right on direction, you might still fail, or you just wouldn't have gotten as many gains as if you would have if you just longed the underlying here. So yeah. ZEC, yeah. Who did God did 777 says ZEC 1 day weekly, sure. All right, ZDERP, ZDERP coin. I think you still have to give it a chance here, even though I do personally think it's going to fail. This monthly low at 361 is a big pivot, meaning that if you come back down below 361 and close, let's say like a weekly below there, that's bearish. And it very likely will break down given enough time. But for right now, it's bouncing off of the exact level you'd expect to see if it is going to at least have a potential for another try. So I'd give that the benefit of the doubt. But below this month's low, again, below this month's low on a weekly closing basis, this thing is reversing. You already have a lower high. And at that point, heading back down probably below $200. But for right now, have to give it the benefit of the doubt. It is a part of the narrative, being a privacy herpety derp coin. But let's see what a yearly looks like. Okay, this is not helpful at all. Yearly is interesting to me here because the yearly is actually kind of good. It does suggest that you might get a pullback to like $300, but that should be a higher low. That should be a bounce. So might break down in the short term here, but technically that should be an opportunity, even if it got down to like $200. Yeah, it looks weird. Yeah, it's a strange one, but there is that. I don't feel that confident on this one, though. In the short term, I do think it tries some downside, just to be very, very clear. I think you're going to do something like this. And I guess the real question is, do you hold these levels or not? If you do, then yeah, still an opportunity there. So fair enough. All right, let's see where I left off over here. Rivera Cars says, can you look at RKLB? Bought some in November. Okay. RKLB, Rocket Lab. Yeah, we looked at this one very early on. Let me go back to the regular view here. I still think this one has more to go. Just not that much more, but maybe like another couple months into new highs. Probably gets, like I said, about like 110 or so is where I'd start to be very defensive and saying, probably should take at least some profit. Probably should take some profit here. I mean, it's a pretty epic run, but yeah. Probably some more to go on this one. But be aware at like 110-ish or so, probably at least going to get a pullback, I'd imagine. If not before then, can that pullback resolve in a higher low and continuation? Sure, but I would be looking for a pullback there. But if you bought some in November, then I think you're pretty good here, aren't you? Yeah, you basically bought the lows here at like $40. You're up, more than 2x. I would be taking some profit here. You don't need to take all of it off the table, but I'd take some, man. Like, you don't want to get too greedy with this shit, even though it very likely does go higher. We are getting some signals that it is, a little bit tired here. So just be aware, man. Even though, yes, I do think it is going higher. I do think it's going above $100. Do you think it goes decently above $100? You know, maybe 10, 20% above $100 very easily. Chris Vell is looking at RR daily weekly. Yeah. So I think it was either you or someone else called this one out a couple of weeks ago. I actually kind of liked it. I did buy some myself. So full disclosure, I do own this one. I still think that the LARP lines are directionally correct here. I think it's going to take a little bit of time to play out, but yeah. I'm still looking for something like this, man. I'm bullish as long as you're above 380, or sorry, 280. I'm bullish as long as you're above 280. Shit, even like 308 or $3 even, I would have an invalidation for getting bearish. But until then, yeah, I think that you're going to do something like this and generally float your way back up to like 480, 490, and very likely reclaim that high. And I think that this thing just gets a shot back up to like, you know, $7-8 from there. That's why I own it. I think it's going up. But again, if it goes down below $3 on a weekly closing basis, I will switch around to being bearish. I will take the loss as well. And I'd be happy to take that loss because I don't want to lose any more than that. That's where I'm comfortable, man. Are you also looking at doggy derp coin? Sure. Some old doggy coin at 13.5 cents. Struggling here at the weekly 200 simple. It already got its bounce. I don't know, does it bounce more? Does it not? It's going to depend on whatever Bitcoin does. Ultimately, it's going to fail. Like that's, I shouldn't say it's going to, but it's very likely to fail ultimately. Now, the quarterly time frame, there's a very good reason to believe that the high of the rally is already in. It did hit the red 5 EMA, so you do have a reconnect there. If it does go a little bit higher, I'd be looking towards 16 cents. Possible, yes, but whether it tops out here at 15.5 or 16 is not that different. I think this one is generally going to be going down. And if you fast forward enough time, you're going to see this thing back down in single digits. Yearly, I mean, like this, I think it's going down, man. I think it's going down. I think it's going down a lot. Can I be wrong about this? Sure. You know, wrong about shit all the time. But at the same time, if we just fast forward enough time, it is coming down. It is coming down. So yeah. Let's see, Mr. Escobar, Mr. Pablo Escobar is here. NVO monthly. Fuck yeah. Okay, what do we got? NVO, oh yeah, this thing, it's for the fat people. Up, yeah. When we were looking for a bounce on this thing, I believe. Let me put on my LARP lines here. Yeah, I still think that this thing. I don't think this is the bounce. Like, it's not going to be the bounce that reverses back up to $100 plus, but I do think it's good. I do think that this thing will generally follow the LARP lines. But I also think that you're getting to the top side of the range in the short term here. So I think it's mostly done. By the way, I should let you know that we do have to get going relatively soon here. So I'm just going to finish out the super chats and then we'll probably be done with this baby. But yeah, I think that you're close to the top of this rally. Maybe it extends a little bit more to 67 and then comes back down. Should be a higher low. Overall, I think that the lows are in. It's just, it's going to take some time, man. We got ICP next for Who Did God Did. ICP, I'm guessing this is for crypto shitcoins. Yeah. I can already tell you it's going to be pretty fucking bad. It's a down-only chart, sir. If it extends the rally by some act of God, I'd be looking towards like 530 and then down. It might have already topped out. I don't know, but down is a direction, man. It's going more down. Does it rally more in the short term? Like I said, I think it's irrelevant. You know, whether it rallies up to like 530 or maybe even all the way up to like $7. I think it's irrelevant. This one did get rejected at the last area, that exactly what we're looking at in this red circle. I'm inclined to say it probably doesn't get past $5.5. I think you're already topping out, or maybe one more leg up to 530 and then down. MG says AGQ. Yeah, guys, we do have to close the super chats though, just because I will address all of the super chats that were submitted before this moment though. I do promise you on that, but we can't do any more than that because we do have a kind of a tight schedule today. This one retesting the swing high before the major breakdown in 2012. So again, it's very, very common to see pullbacks here. It's not a bad thing. I think overall this thing probably does try higher. It's just short term, it's going to pull back. So daily, you know, probably comes down to like, I don't know, 200 or maybe a little bit below 200, but just it's very likely going to be a higher low. And it does very likely try higher later on, but give it some time, man. This has been a straight up fucking rally since March of last year. So, you know, it's probably going to do something like this, boom, 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 and then try your upside move. It's going to take some time though, man. Crypto Rex back. He's looking at Pengu, herpity derp. Do you reckon hidden bullish evidence on the weekly? I don't know. It's hard to trust signals on the most esteemed of crypto shit coins. My Pengu coins. Yes, my pudgy, herpity derp fucking penguin coins. Right. They're going to make me rich. Fuck yeah. It's going to make me rich by making me poor first. And then I'll feel rich because I have a lower set point for my net worth. That's how it works. That's how it works indeed. I really don't know. It's kind of like the other crypto shitcoin we saw. It's like, is it going to top out here? Does it go a little bit higher towards 1.5 cents before it tops out? I don't know, but the direction is down. The direction is obviously down. Do I think the weekly has hidden bullish evidence? No, it does not. There is no. At least whatever hidden bullish evidence you did have has already played out, because that has been a pretty significant move. That's a 60% move, more than 60% move. I'd say it's already played out. If it does take one more leg up, I'd be looking towards the yellow 21 EMA at 1.5 to 1.6 cent. But either which way, it's either topped out here or there. The direction is down, my man. It is down to the fucking crypto shitcoin gutter, where these things generally belong. William Kiefer says, RR Rich Tech Robotics, stock daily, weekly. I think we did this one already. Yeah, we did do this one earlier, so I'm kind of getting this one a little bit later, but might have a short-term pullback down to like $3.30 or $3.50. That's fine. I'm bullish as long as you're above $3 on a weekly closing basis. I generally think still these large lines are playing out, so I don't really have anything to add on to it other than that. I do own this one, full disclosure. I do think it's going higher as well. $3 is my line in the sand, though. That's where I capitulate. Andrew Plus says, how do we join the Discord? Have to buy a trading plan? No, you can join the Discord for free, man. We have a free section and everything. It's probably the most active section as well. If you do get one of the programs, only the Quantum Wavebands and also Quant Prime are the ones that get their own Discord now. Yeah. You know, anyone's free to hang out there. So again, it's just the link in the description below for Discord. You don't need to do anything, you know, it's just there for you. And I will warn you, you know, it's a fucking crazy place. So it's a fucking crazy place. You enter in at your own peril, all right? Don't be fucking complaining to our mods or nothing like that. Crazy shit happens. It's the wild, wild west. So you can either stomach it or you can't. We don't like to police it too much. We only police it for, you know, certain things. But yeah, you know, anyone's welcome to join. Just, it's at your own peril. Don't fucking complain to us. Anyways, I think that's a good place for us to leave off on this stream. We do have to get to our next activities for today. We'll be back on Monday with another live stream. And then, of course, on Sunday, I will do a traditional market update. And then maybe tomorrow, Saturday, I will have some time to put the finishing touches on a long-term investment video. But I still feel like I need some more time with that one. You know, this week I wasn't, you know, I haven't been paying too much attention. I've been doing too much work because we were away for a little bit of time. So I really need to get back into the swing of things. And then I feel like I can finish up that video because I want to make sure that I do a good job with it. So yeah, anyways, that's where we're going to end things for today. Again, thank you for joining in. As always, been an absolute pleasure on this nice little Friday morning. We'll be back on, like I said, Monday live stream. Until then, take care, much love, and see you hopefully